MGM is like crazy, first supporting Mel Gibson, and then what kind of streaming is going to be, and I still don't understand what streaming means. At a private party, Charlie Sheen complained while drinking. Elton John sighed. Charlie, I thought you had another party like last time, and you flew back from abroad to participate, and it turned out that you were just drinking and chatting. Well, I hired a dozen actresses from the San Fernando Valley, but now everyone is talking about it, so I'm not interested, and I'm letting them go back. Charlie Sheen's love for lewd parties is well known in the circle. A group of fox friends and dog friends can have a lot of fun every time. Everyone likes to be friends with you, or a rotten person. Isn't it just for this hobby? You don't even do it. You can't put yourself in the right position. Elton John shook his head and secretly scolded, "You are not interested, I am interested. Don't look at my brother's age. But I have medicine, and I still want to fight for 300 rounds. James Franco was lying on the couch and smirking. Ever since he became popular with his role as the little green goblin Harry Osborn in Spider-Man, James Franco has received an invitation to join this secret party. He himself has a bad style, and he is a pure rotten boy in his bones. But he has been popular for a short time and is well hidden, at least not exposed yet. At Charlie Sheen's party, everyone has to hand in their phones. They are not allowed to record, and they must be kept absolutely secret. And here James Franco completely lets himself go and shows his bad nature. Ha 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 ha. Eric Cooper, a guy who is rolling around on his daddy's credit book. This little cub must be mentally insane. Shit's Lionheart, shit streaming. I've only seen him offend the big 6 companies and all the TV stations in the United States at the same time. He's finished, and MGM is almost finished. Can you imagine? This idiot is completely out of his mind, and if I am the president of MGM, the results will be much better than him. John Mayer poured down a glass of brandy and looked at James Franco mockingly. I see you're just jealous. He didn't give you the male lead of Transformers, but gave a nobody. I heard you were the biggest player in the audition that day, but you lost to Chris Evans, and now he's not just Sam, he's going to be Captain America, and you're still the little green goblin. Frank, so you're upset, right? James Franco spewed a puff of leaf smoke on the other side. Shut up your stinky mouth, John. He also got the Grammy. And is that guy a musician? It is said that he can't even read musical scores, but you should be ashamed to beat you professionals. Okay, don't argue, help me think about this. Charlie Sheen walked around a little restlessly. What's the problem? The question I just mentioned. Charlie, you haven't said anything yet. Huh? Fuck. My mind is getting more and more confused, and MGM has been making several big productions lately, and my agent has got an audition. But now that Eric Cooper has made it clear that he's going to bring the company into the crematorium, do I still want an interview? If you participate in MGM's movies, will you be hated by the Big 6 and affect your future development? I'm struggling right now. Elton John rolled his eyes, thinking to himself, who doesn't know your shitty shit? It's all stinking streets. People will use you. However, since Charlie Sheen participated in Sony Columbia's sitcom 2.5 Heroes last year, his superb acting skills and funny plot have indeed made this big rotten man popular again, and his salary once approached $1 million, which is the top salary in the American drama circle. James Franco waved his hand. If it were mine, I wouldn't have auditioned again. Find a reason to push it off. With MGM on one side and the 6 national TV stations on the other, a fool should know how to choose. James, but we are actors. This is a struggle between film and television companies. Neither the guild nor the agency has expressed support for either side. I think even if I participate, it won't have much impact. There is a role I really like. Looking at Charlie Sheen's tangled look that I was worried about, but I wanted again, James Franco vomited in disgust. Sober up, Charlie Sheen. I received the news, and I won't release it to the public. It's not public, so how do you know? Okay, let's talk about it. A few days ago, the senior management of the 6 major companies had a meeting, and they wanted to snipe MGM, and they had to let Eric Cooper know that this kid was powerful, and this plan has a code name called Operation Leo. Do you know what it means? Charlie Sheen shook his head. His daily life was a mess. Except for drinking and taking drugs, his brain could not hold much anymore. Stupid, you're from the 60s. Don't you know what the name Leo means? MGM. Leo, don't you know? That lion. Charlie Sheen reacted in hindsight. MGM's opening logo is a roaring lion is well known, but many people don't know that the lion was not a stunt synthesis in the early days, but a real shot. In the 20s of the last century, you couldn't play stunts, so in order to make this title, the company had to rent a real lion and film the moment it roared. It is said that the photographers have changed several times, and the lion's belly is about to burst. Of course, this is a joke. MGM changed a total of 7 lions to shoot the opening credits, and they all had their own names, such as the first one was called Carebrae and later changed its name to Slats. The second lion is named Jackie, and the third is named Telly. But MGM collectively refers to them as Leo, or Leo the Lion, and this name is also the symbol of the company. James Franco nodded. That's right, it's MGM's lion, although the Big Six didn't make another statement, but it's obvious that Eric Cooper sheltered Mel Gibson and engaged in this Lionheart network to anger them, and now it's 6-1, and they are pointing at this lion. And I heard that various TV stations are also negotiating. I'm afraid the results will be given soon, man. Now is really not a good time to get close to this lion. Well, if your message is accurate, it's really not a good time. James Franco's so-called top-secret news is of course not top secret, and the Six deliberately released it, not only in the entertainment industry, but soon even the audience will know about it. 2 days later, Disney took the lead in announcing that many of its films would be rescheduled. This year, Mickey Mouse's carefully created ace anime, The Incredibles, has been postponed from the original date of August 5th to December 7th, and the target is obviously the Christmas file Inception. Nicolas Cage's adventure masterpiece, National Treasure, was rescheduled to June 11th, more than 2 months ahead of schedule, and the goal was Frozen. The adaptation of the best-selling children's literature, Don't Have a Cave, was also changed to September 17th, sniping Hold Your Breath 2. And Hathaway's famous sequel, The Princess Diaries 2, has been postponed to September 24th, also sniping Hold Your Breath 2. Even movies such as The Chronicles of Narnia, Superman High School, and Magic Twin Stars, which were originally scheduled to be released next year, have been changed, and it has been announced that they will speed up production and try to release them this year. After Disney announced a large-scale reshuffle of its films, Warner quickly followed suit. The release of the super IP, Harry Potter 3, Prisoner of Azkaban, has been postponed from August to November, and the sniper target is Godot's The Hunger Games. The Polar Express, which was produced by the great director Robert Zemeckis, was rescheduled to May 21st, sniping at Human Eradication Project 2 and $1 Million Baby at the same time. The epic blockbuster, Troy, which has been filmed for more than a year and brings together Brad Pitt and Orlando Bloom, has postponed its schedule from May to June 17th to snipe Frozen with National Treasure. This was followed by Universal Pictures, which also announced a rescheduling plan. The first is the genre blockbuster Alien vs. Predator, postponed from April to September, sniping MGM's Happy Death Day 2, Soldier Against Soldier. Then the Ace IP Spy 2 was raised from July to June, and it also joined the army of sniping Frozen. The popular comedy Meet My Father-in-Law 2 has been cancelled, probably because it is preparing to target the schedule of The Hangover 2. Hugh Jackman's Van Helsing was postponed from May to November, aiming for The Hunger Games. Fast and Furious 3 also announced the early production, and it is obvious that it is aimed at Hurricane, which is also a drag racing theme. Sony's super masterpiece, Spider-Man 2, was changed from the summer file to the Christmas file, and Disney's The Incredibles jointly encircled Inception. 20th Century Fox's The Day After Tomorrow and I, Robot and other masterpieces have also been refiled. Paramount's Sparrow Becomes Princess, Merry Man, Tomorrowland, Suspect Zero, and other films have also joined the battle. These are just part of the story. Just like MGM and the movies in production have not announced their schedules, and the Big Six also hold a lot of cards in their hands, waiting for MGM to make a move. It's numb. Everyone is numb. For a while, the market was filled with the smell of gunpowder, and various small and medium-sized companies such as Lionsgate and New Line were in a hurry, and they also announced changes one after another. Although they secretly reached an agreement with Eric, they announced that they would remain neutral and would not choose sides or take sides. The change of gears is also to avoid its edge, but after a round, I found that there is no good schedule and almost every schedule is fighting, so I can only choose a weaker battlefield to join. DreamWorks has 3 big productions released this year, Shrek 2 and Shark Gangster, which have been carefully prepared for more than 2 years, and Spielberg's Happiness Terminal. Shark Gangster was urgently upgraded from August to April 15th, which is about to come. The ace, Shrek 2, withdrew from June and changed to October. Happiness Terminal wandered around for a long time and found that it was really impossible to insert its feet, so it could only be announced that the file was to be decided. Unlike small and medium-sized companies trying to survive in the cracks, fans are screaming excitedly. Although some movie schedules have been postponed, there are more good movies that can be seen this year. The theater chain is also very happy. The more movies there are, the hotter the market, and people won't care about your competition, as long as you can make more money. And just after the Big Six sounded the horn of attack, the long-awaited reaction from all over the United States finally came, and major TV stations jointly issued a statement. This statement is almost exactly the same as that of the Big Six, and it also points the finger at Mel Gibson on the surface, and it is difficult not to suspect that the two sides have communicated privately. In view of the huge controversy caused by The Passion of the Christ and the very bad social impact, Mel Gibson has shown strong racist and anti-Semitic tendencies. This kind of thinking is undoubtedly dangerous, and it is even more threatening and aggressive for television stations that are public mouthpieces. So after discussion, we have decided not to establish and continue any work with Mel Gibson in the future, and hereby declare. The signature is a long list of TV station names, but the local little guys in the back don't bother with it. The key is to look at the first 2 lines. They include CBS, ABC, Fox, NBC, WB, UPN for public stations and FX, AMC, CNN, HBO, Showtime for cable stations. From now on, neither Mel Gibson nor MGM would want to advertise again, nor would they want to see a single positive report about themselves on television. Eric has nothing to say about this, and still throws out a statement for Tat, who instigates whose grandson. MGM building. Eric didn't go to the set in the past few days, handed over the shooting to Neil, and he commuted to and from work every day to sit in the company. There is no way. People's hearts are a little unstable, and only by yourself can we stabilize the morale of the army. Thank you. Thank you very much, Eric. You are my benefactor. On the phone, Mel Gibson kept thanking him, and when you are abandoned by everyone, the person who is willing to lend a hand, you can only repay him. I won't abandon my partner. You don't have to worry about Mel. You can't go on the TV station if you can't get it, and there's an online way, right? YouTube can do the same publicity as Facebook, and it can also give you a voice. And the box office of The Passion of the Christ is so good, those guys can't stop it. Mel Gibson sighed. Eric, your mentality is simply too stable. I can't believe that you are only in your 20s. May I ask, aren't you worried at all? Truth be told, we're not in a good position right now. Eric chuckled. Since I did it, I thought of this day, and now I just need a big victory to boost the morale of the army. Mel Gibson didn't speak because he didn't know how to fight this victory. On Saturday, March 31st, Lionheart was officially launched. Since it was the weekend, millions of users flocked to the site, and the interface that Eric personally supervised immediately shocked many people. Different from the simplicity of Facebook, Lionheart is just the opposite. It is rigorously classified and very gorgeous, similar to the interface more than 10 years later. Just one interface shows a trend of dimensionality reduction. And among these users, a considerable number of them came in and went straight to the variety show area and clicked on the first recommended, The Voice of America. Because today is also the day when the second season of Fox's American Idol airs, everyone wants to see who wins and who loses. MGM versus Fox. The first battle started. This is the first variety show in Micah's life. Do you understand? This is the first variety show he picked up. Didn't Michael Jackson be on a variety show? I think he's been on a lot of it. No, it's completely different. In the past, he could only be regarded as a temporary guest at most, but this time he is an assistant director, producer, and mentor. I don't care about assistant directors and producers, mentors. Do you know what mentors are? That means he'll be recording an entire season of the show. It's a blessing to see him on TV all the time. It's going to be like never before, and I'm almost going to cry with excitement, thanks to MGM, thanks to Eric Cooper. Even if Michael Jackson sits there and doesn't speak, you're going to just as well, aren't you? Shit, this guy is a fan of Emium. Get out of here and raise a bitch. Jenny, I like Jenny so much. Her slap is so cool. How is that bastard Justin doing now? Who knows? The two old men who were seriously injured by him woke up and have already sued him, and the court will be held in a month, and it seems that he has not been seen for a long time. Does he dare to show his face? Now I'm afraid to try to prepare the emigrants to run away, or like Polanski. Fox is really unlucky. I'd love to see what the hell American Idol was cut into. Did you see the trailer? I watched it several times, and there was no Justin in the trailer. Only Amy Eminem, Randy Jackson, and Simon Cowell remained. So, Fox cut all the scenes of Justin Timberlake? But can the show still be broadcast if he is cut? It's going to be all sorted. To be honest, I actually quite like Simon Cowell. Although he has a poisonous tongue, it's quite cool to watch him swear, and of course Amy Eminem and Randy Jackson should be swept into the garbage. Whatever, I must watch The Voice. I have already got the members of Lionheart in advance, and I will get it for free if I like it. I envy people who have a lot of friends on Facebook. I can only buy it at half price, but it only costs $7.50 to see me step. It's not too worthwhile. Celine Dion, I like it too. I don't know if she can sing My Heart Will Go On. I said you shouldn't just pay attention to The Voice. The self-made drama launched online by Lionheart is also great. Oscar-winning actor Kevin Spacey's first American drama. Haven't you watched the trailer of House of Cards? I feel that this drama is going to be a god. There's also a lot of Japanese anime. MGM is really fierce, and before I know it, it's a big job, and Eric Cooper has won my heart. Agreed. Eric Cooper, I have won my heart. Agreed. Before Lionheart went live, there was an explosion of online discussion, especially among young people. Now Facebook has more than 70 million registered users, and there are about 60 million permanent active users, and the total population of the United States is only about 290 million, almost 1/4. Judging from the current market environment, most young people have already joined, and a considerable number of adults have also joined, almost reaching the saturation line, so the growth is very slow now. If you can get rid of my space, there should be another surge in registered users, but you still have to find an opportunity. 2 months ago, Facebook began to expand into Mexico and Canada, but unfortunately it has not yet been discussed. Britain is loosening quickly, And the cooperation between MGM and Michael Dobbs is getting more and more pleasant. It doesn't matter how much money you spend, you just do it. Building on the solid foundation laid by Facebook, YouTube's registered users are also very gratifying, which has now exceeded 25 million and is growing rapidly. Ever since Eric sampled them, young people have suddenly opened up and made all sorts of video genres. As soon as the trend of shoulder shaking has passed, something called bubble dancing has become popular. And it is also attracting star singers to gradually settle in, and the website is negotiating with major music companies in the hope of obtaining their authorization. In this way, while making videos, YouTube can also be built into the world's largest music online platform, preparing for the digital music model that will eventually come in the future. Covered by the two big brothers, as soon as Lionheart went online on Saturday, the members were sold out. Besides, there are 4 super popular mentors to support. Their number of fans is simply not too much. Spend a few dollars to support idols, and by the way, you can watch some new dramas, why not? Silicon Valley. Boss, the situation is gratifying. The situation is pleasing to the eye. It's just unexpected. Seeing Eric arrive, Robert Miron walked up to announce the good news with an excited face. Eric looked at the time. Exactly an hour. How many members have reached? Boss, you will be surprised. The data monitored in the background. The number of our members has exceeded 2 million. OMG. 2 million is really unimaginable. Looking at the history of global internet development, no website can reach this figure in an hour. I must admit, I still underestimated myself. I thought it would be nice to have 500,000. Oh my God. It was like a dream. Looking at the excited, somewhat incoherent Robert, Eric patted him on the shoulder to signal a little calm. It's only 2 million to be happy like this. Don't forget that Lionheart is standing on the shoulders of Facebook and YouTube. I have smashed hundreds of millions of dollars in advertising costs, and the current environment is building. No website has such a good treatment as Lionheart, and our goal is not a small 2 million. Yes, I'm just too excited. Robert Miron calmed down. Well, what is the composition of these 2 million members? Robert counted his fingers and said, first of all, there are free members for activities, about 150,000 people. I don't understand why there are so many. I only have a few dozen friends on my Facebook account. Carol smiled and looked at the middle-aged man, who was obviously a bit otaku-inclined, silent. Then there are low-level members, about 300,000 people, which is not too high, and it seems that everyone doesn't like advertising. The number of standard members is the largest, almost 1.2 million, and there are about 350,000 premium members left. I think a lot of people may not know the meaning of Blu-ray image quality, and when they see it, they will understand, and it's a kind of enjoyment. Eric nodded with satisfaction. The ingredient distribution is okay. As long as the low-level members don't make up the majority, they can promote the website to achieve good. Sexual cycles. Continue to monitor the data closely, and don't forget what I have planned. I know Helen is in charge of satisfaction surveys, and she's the best at dealing with people among us. Walk down the hallway to his office. He hasn't been here in a month, but it's clean. Boss, this Robert Miron is very interesting, except for you. He is the top person in charge, and he even went to pour coffee himself, and he didn't feel a little shelf from him. Robert specializes in technology, and the core secret of Lionheart is what he led the team to make, and his social skills are indeed a little worse. I don't think it's a little worse. I found that the employees here don't say hello when they see you. At most they nod and leave by themselves, which is completely different from MGM. Well, this is the working atmosphere of Lionheart.com. In fact, I like it. It is concise and efficient, and everyone does their job. Bringing the coffee, Robert said with some hesitation, Boss, there is something I want to discuss with you. Watching the two leave, Carol opened the website boldly and clicked on The Voice of America, which is currently the most discussed. MGM released 6 episodes at once. That is, half a season. Carol glanced at the progress bar, and the first episode was an hour and a half. As the picture shifts from dark to bright, a man in a casual suit stands there. Behind him is a huge palm-held statue holding a microphone and making a yes gesture. The man is James Corden, who has not yet risen, and at the same time, his size has not swelled, and he was hired by Eric to be the host. He can not only perform, but also host and sing. Except for his experience is a little immature, he is definitely a good seedling. In the future, it would be good to give him a talk show or a karaoke show in the car. James Corden began, "It's a song talent show like no other, because our primary focus is on the strength of our singing." As soon as the picture turned, the picture suddenly became bright, and the camera showed 4 red chairs. Today, 4 of the most influential people in the music industry will be given the mission of finding the best voices in the United States. With more than 700 million albums sold and countless fans across the US and around the world, they've transcended the label of artists to become icons of pop culture. Michael Jackson, he is the king of world pop, the #1 record seller in the world. His legend needs no introduction. Celine Dion, a super singer with a natural voice, a 4-time Grammy, 10-time World Music Awards, and a musician praised by all countries. Janet Jackson's Rhythm Nation 1814 is the only album in music history to produce the #1 single on the Billboard Hot 100 for 3 consecutive years, and it is also the only album in history to hit the top 5 singles on the singles chart with all 7 singles. Jay-Z, the genius of gangster rap and the creator of the Grammy Award for Best Rap Album, The Source gave his album Reasonable Doubt a perfect score, and is known as the king of contemporary rap. These 4 superstars will work together to discover the 5th superstar, and first they will show everyone what it means to be a superstar. The voice fell, the lights dimmed, and the camera was given to the center of the stage, where a tall figure stood faintly, and familiar people could recognize it at a glance. It was Celine Dion. Deep within each heart, there lies a magic spark that lights the fire of our imagination. And since the dawn of man, the strength of Just I Can has brought together people of all nations. With a light and powerful voice, she sings The Power of Dreams, a song she once performed at the opening ceremony of the Atlanta Olympics. It is also meaningful to use it here today as an opening, encouraging dream-chasing singers to believe in the power of dreams. And this season has really done that, and while 3 of the top 4 are predetermined, the 3 of them are also really strong. Especially Sister Fruit, the evaluation given by the 4 mentors in terms of singing skills alone is completely consistent, and she is the undisputed champion. Brother Mars is an extraordinary all-round strength, and when he starts singing and dancing, you can't take your eyes off him. The only one is a little inferior. She is too young, her voice is immature, and she is inferior to the other 3 in terms of professional vocal training. But it doesn't matter. Eric likes her, and that's enough for her to fight her out. Coupled with the shortlisting of passerby Shalene, isn't this just believing that the dream will come true? Every woman, child, and man. It's the moment that you think you can't. You'll discover that you can. Feel the flame forever burn. As Celine Dion's singing comes to an end, the background music gradually falls. Suddenly, a dynamic and eerie electronic music interjects, and then the background music rises, and the silky transition to DJ DJing is smooth. The applauding audience quickly followed suit, and Jay scurried onto the stage from nowhere, his mouth crackling like a machine gun. He brought his famous song, I Just Wanna Love You, and the atmosphere of the scene was even hotter. After a moment's performance, Jays looked to the left in surprise to see My Button standing there with her backup dancer. He was dressed in a white suit, standing among the black suits that accompanied the dancers, and people could no longer leave it at a glance. In the OH field, The cheers of the audience are about to lift the roof in an instant, and the background music is once again changed to Crime Master by Maiku. His body danced to the song, the joints of his body seemed to be screwed, and the last group of people paddled to the center of the stage. Oh! Paired with the signature screams of the button, their every movement is silky smooth and in perfect harmony. When my buckle and the backup dancer dance the zombie steps, the music stops abruptly as one step lands. Immediately after the camera was shown to the right side of the stage, I saw Jenny Jackson also standing there with her backup dancer. Bang! A violent drum kit exploded, and Jenny's classic song Rhythm Country sounded. She danced the classic dance with the sister group behind her. As recognized as the most singing and dancing female singer, Jenny's dance is full of dynamism and power, and the stuck point of the beat is not weaker than her brother at all. With music by our side. To break the color lines. Let's work together. To improve our way of life. With the brisk dance steps, Jenny gradually jumped to the center of the stage as well. When the brother and sister met, the two interacted, and it seemed to become a scene of dispute between no one and the other. Although the radio didn't include what the two were saying, as long as you looked at it, you could tell that it was a quarrel. Immediately afterwards, the quarrel turned into a fighting dance, and the two of them each took the dance troupe to start PK, and the dazzling, wonderful dance steps made people not know who to focus on. In the end, with the reappearance of Celine Dion and Jay's, the fireworks burst out on the stage, and the opening show finally ended. There are only 2 words left in everyone's hearts: shock. Can you not get high when you watch 4 superstars perform for free? Even if it was re-recorded many times in the process, it was still cool. In particular, the performance of the Micah brothers and sisters fighting and dancing is too shocking, and it will definitely become a classic scene in the history of performance. Waving to the audience as they walked to their respective positions, James Corden began to introduce the rules. Thank you to the 4 mentors for their wonderful performances. Next, they will carry out a blind audition. All of them will turn their backs to the contestants and only listen to the voice to judge whether they recognize the other party's singing skills. Not seeing the clothes and looks of the contestants, or even their age, cannot affect the judge's judgment. If more than one mentor chooses a player, then the choice will be transferred to the player's side. In the blind selection stage, the mentor will select 8 players from all the contestants to form their own team, which is not a simple process. Please remember that this is a pure music competition, and the only thing that can win can rely on is their solid ability. Ok. Let's welcome the first contestant. With the introduction of the rules, many viewers suddenly felt a little different, especially the rule of transferring the right of choice to the player, which seemed to be very interesting. She was keenly aware that something interesting would happen next, and her originally casual eyes became focused. The screen switches to the player, and a handsome young guy wearing a hat walks over, nearly 190 tall, looking sunny and strong. Hi everyone, I'm Perix Thomas. I'm 20 years old, and I'm from Nashville, Tennessee. You see, I'm so tall now, but I was actually bullied all the time when I was a kid because I was a total nerd back then. I really want to play sports with everyone, play baseball, play football together, but I don't have the athletic cells. Until I found something I loved, and that was singing. James Corden. Hey Thomas, you look good. Yes, it's all good. It's just very exciting. Then you should relax a little bit because I think you're going to be chosen, and it's never too late to get excited. Ha ha ha, if I succeed, those who have laughed at me will surely drool with envy. This is the best opportunity of my life. Come on, lad. Of course, I'm ready for millions of people to hear me. On stage, a melodious prelude sounded, and Palak sang. Although the instructors couldn't see him, the audience could see it clearly, and when they found that a 190-year-old boy actually sang a country-style song, many people immediately showed stunned expressions. At this time, The camera close-up showed Celine Dion, who had a smile on her face and turned her head to look at the my buckle next to her. Michael, I'm sure this player must be a handsome guy. Why? How do you know? Maiko asked curiously. Look at them. Look at these girls. Their expressions speak for themselves. They're definitely handsome. Jay smiled and said in a somewhat helpless and mocking tone, Woman. This scene has a sitcom effect and immediately amused many viewers in front of the screen. Many people think that Jays is just a rapper, but in fact, he has also acted in several comedy films. Has the natural comedy of the old blacks in the performance, and Eric chose him as a mentor with this in mind, which can create a variety show effect. Otherwise, with Jays' coffee position, he is actually a little unworthy of the other three, and his total record sales are less than 20 million copies. How can it be compared with these three who have at least 100 million bases? Please brag Dad will be more in line than him. Celine Dion's hand was already on the red button and ready to go. Backstage, James Corden looked at the player's parents. Look, I said he can definitely do it. The parents looked at the screen with some excitement and muttered, One more. One more. That this might really be the real end. Bang! When Thomas's singing reached the climax, there was a muffled sound, and Celine Dion decisively slapped the button. When the chair turned, she was stunned for a moment, then smiled. Many audience members immediately applauded, and Thomas's parents jumped up excitedly and hugged James Corden. As the singing continued, Celine Dion suddenly turned her head sideways to look at Jenny, only to see that she also put her hand on the red button. The queen of the sketch couldn't help but change her complexion, and her hands kept changing her gestures like a witch's practice, signaling Jenny not to shoot. Jays, who was stuck between the two, hurriedly leaned back. At this time, the singing reached its second climax, and it was about to end. And when she found that Jenny still hadn't filmed, Celine Dion was relieved and sat upright. Boom! As soon as she straightened it up, Jenny filmed it, making Celine Dion stunned, like a smurf. Thomas's performance ended, and he finally won the favor of the two mentors, and the chairs of Mylock and Jays were turned. Celine Dion was about to ask Jenny if she was deliberately causing trouble, but Jays had already looked at her with a frightened expression. Sty, you can't do this to me. As he spoke, he imitated Celine Dion's gesture. I'm black, and your gestures remind me of a time when I was a devout voodoo cult and it would give me nightmares at night. He spoke in a somewhat comical movie style, and his strange and suddenly raised tone immediately caused the scene to burst into laughter. In a family on Long Island, New York, 3 siblings are watching The Voice around the computer. Ha 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 ha. OMG. Mike, Jays is so funny. Why didn't anyone tell me he's so funny? The eldest son shrugged his shoulders. I have already said Carol, but you only know how to read and study every day, and you never listen to me. The youngest son also made up the knife. That's right, but the Celine Dion you like is also good, and her comedy talent is also great. Of course, Benny, if you have watched Celine Dion's previous interviews, you know that she is a very funny singer. Hey, who wants to eat cookies? I just baked it. Wait, what are you looking at? Is this Lionheart.com? Mom, didn't you listen to Jenny Jackson when you were younger? And Dad also listens to Michael Jackson. You should watch this show. It's much more interesting than American Idol. Mom hurriedly waved her hand. No. I work for Long Island TV, and our TV station has joined the anti-MGM coalition. Don't you know? As she spoke, she shouted at the top of her voice, Jason, come and see your idol and write your essay later. Summoned by his wife, Jason Seaver ran out of the study, looked at the screen and shook his head. Honey, you're making enemies. Maggie smiled. Whatever. No one knows anyway. Besides, the show is very interesting. You see they are about to quarrel. Haha. In the show, my buckle said, Awesome Thomas, your performance is great, and your voice is perfect for the country track. Then, why don't you turn him around? The good sister, Jenny, immediately opened fire. Well, because I don't think I sing as well as him. I'm afraid I can't guide him. OH. Although everyone knows that my buckle is humble, he still cheers cooperatively. Seeing that the big man of player 190 lowered his head a little shyly, Jenny couldn't help but look at him with a smile. You're cute, Palix, especially when you laugh. Thank you. You're welcome. How about taking off your hat? Let everyone take a good look at you. Wow. Oh, is it the audience who wants to see it, or do you want to see it? Celine Dion teased. I think everybody wants to see it, what do you think? The girls around OH screamed. Och. Palex took off his hat. His thick hair was a little messy, but he showed a hint of wildness, and he was indeed a handsome guy. Can you take your pants off too? Jenny said. Maiko hurriedly lowered her head to cover her face, and the girl's scream rose by a decibel again. Jays hurriedly made a downward gesture. Be reserved, Jenny. Jenny hurriedly dodged. Don't make that gesture to me. I'm also black and used to be a member of the voodoo cult. Ha 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 ha. The laughter of the audience never stopped, except for Maiko, who was a little shy. The other three were obviously very stalked. Subsequently, the two began a battle to grab people. Jenny pointed to herself. Palix, I know it's clear that in terms of style, it's clear that another woman is a better fit for you. You should treat me with respect, Jenny. I debuted a whole year before you, a whole year. Celine Dion's eyes widened. Ha 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 ha. Jenny rolled her eyes at the camera. Okay, obviously Hitty's style is more suitable for you, but I have advantages that she doesn't have. The best way for a singer to make a name for himself is to brush his face at a big-name concert, and this year I have a national tour that you can participate in. Palix's eyes lit up, and Celine Dion hurriedly stopped. Wait, you can't lie to this simple guy. Why didn't I hear that you were going to start a tour? It wouldn't be your temporary decision. Of course not, although I don't have a tour. Maiko does. He is my brother. Don't you just participate in him? Celine Dion shrugged her shoulders in surprise. It's not fair. Their brother and sister teamed up to deal with me. One director. I ask for fair competition. Ahem. Actually, I'm the producer and assistant director. My buckle said lightly. Ha 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 ha. Maiko's innocent tone suddenly caused a burst of laughter on the scene and in front of the screen again. Of course, these were all jokes, and in the end, Pyrex chose Celine Dion, who was closer in style. Then the players came on the field one after another, including handsome guys, beautiful women, dinosaurs, and ugly men. The four are not always gagging, and there is no ambiguity when it comes to the major, and when the level of the players is really weak or the performance is abnormal, they will also tactfully point it out and refuse. At this time, except for Maiku's team, the other three all gained team members, and Jays directly took the two rap guys into the account. Just like basketball, rap in the United States is unique in the world, and only in this country can you see rap in the mainstream of music, not in the rest of the music scene. At this time, the progress bar has reached the last 10 minutes, and there is probably only one player's performance time left. According to the usual rules, the last one is generally the most exciting. Countless viewers stared at the screen, and in just 1 hour, they were already deeply attracted by this novel music variety show. I'm Bruno Mars, I'm 19 years old. Not yet my birthday to be exact, so I can only count it as 18 years old. I'm from the beautiful resort island of Hawaii, which is my hometown. Since I was a kid, I've been performing on local stage. I love singing, and I love the feeling of being spotlighted. Now that I'm here for The Voice, I'm sure I'll find an opportunity to show my talent here. James Corden. Bruno, you're here alone? Yes. Well, you're the first contestant to go on the show alone. What about your family? What about friends? Martian shook his head. My family is in Hawaii, and I graduated from President Roosevelt High School last year, and then I thought I couldn't go on like this. I needed to follow my dream, which was music, so I came to Los Angeles alone. So, you're alone chasing your dreams? Sort of. James Corden patted him on the shoulder. Brother, there are often stories like you in movies, and I also wish you to realize your dreams like the protagonist of the movie. Thank you. The stage lights dimmed, and the audience calmed their restless mood. Rin. In the quiet darkness, the music rises slowly, mixed with the faint sound of wind chimes, giving the impression that the stars are blinking in the night sky. Hearing this prelude, Michael suddenly raised his head slightly, listened carefully with his ear sideways, and then smiled at the corner of his mouth. Celine Dion tilted her head to look at him. Michael, your fans are here. That's right, what Brother Mars wants to sing is one of Micah's famous songs, The Man in the Mirror. This is a slow song, expressing love for the world. If you have watched the MV, you will find that it is interspersed with events such as the Ethiopian famine, the Black Civil Rights Movement in the United States, and the Ku Klux Klan. The song also undoubtedly topped the B chart that year and also won the Grammy Production of the Year award. Brother Mars has admired and imitated Michael since he was a child, and this time he has the opportunity to face his idol. Of course, he has to use the best tricks to attract the attention of the other party. I'm gonna make a change. I'm going to make a change. For once in my life. In my life. It's gonna feel real good. I feel good doing that. Gonna make a difference. It's going to be different. Boom. 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 In just 4 sentences, Celine Dion, Jay-Z, and Jenny slapped the red button in unison and looked at the unattractive little black man in front of them with some surprise. There was surprise in the expressions of the 3 of them. They didn't expect such a beautiful voice to come from such a body. I see the kids in the street with not enough to eat. I saw children living in the streets without enough to eat. A summer's disregard, a broken bottle top. Summer's indifference, broken corks. They follow each other on the wind, you know. They support each other in the storm. 'Cause they got nowhere to go. Because they have nowhere to go. The song goes to the chorus, and the tune of Brother Mars rises sharply along with the drum beat. I'm starting with the man in the mirror. I'm going to start with the man in the mirror. I'm asking him to change his ways. I asked him to change the path he was taking. And no message could have been any clearer. There is no other idea that is clearer than this. If you want to make the world a better place, if you want to make this world a better place, take a look at yourself and then make a change. Then look at yourself and change yourself. Boom. Michael slapped the red button, and the audience immediately cheered. This is the only 4-turn player in the first phase so far. Everyone swayed gently with Brother Mars's singing, and my buckle nodded lightly while beating the beat. It wasn't until a few minutes later that Brother Mars finished singing and bowed to the audience. My buckle turned on the microphone. Wonderful performance. You look like a mixed race. Introduce yourself. Brother. Mars looked at my button with some excitement, and his speech was a little incoherent. Yes, I'm from Hawaii, my buckle, and I'm a huge fan of yours. Super fan. Buddy, can you tell you're black? Jay-Z asked with a smile. After calming down, Brother Mars replied, although I look a little dark-skinned, I'm not black. My dad is Puerto Rican and Eastern European, and my mom is Spanish and Filipino, so I'm Shirkoto. Jay-Z frowned a little self-deprecatingly. That's why people always say that mixed-race babies are the smartest, OMG. My Beyoncé. Ha 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 ha. Everyone knows that he and Beyoncé are a couple, but both are black. While the others were laughing, Celine Dion began to pull people first. Bruno, you also saw it. I was the first to turn around, so I think you don't need to hesitate. Join my team. I will help you find the most suitable singing path. Seeing this, Jenny also began to speak. Bruno, obviously your performance is perfect. Although you sang my brother's song, I still want you very much. Come to me. Let's win the championship together. Brother, I don't know if you know rap or not, but I'm not just rapping, I've also sung lyrics, and I think adding rap elements will make you look cool. Come to me, let's pursue happy music together. Jays said with open arms. The three of them looked at my button together. He smiled, and then walked directly to the stage. Bruno, I know you must have come for me, and I'm lucky to have met you. Let's go hand in hand to the end. He's cheating. The three of them yelled together. The feigned anger didn't help, and Brother Mars unsurprisingly ran into Micah's arms. The first episode of The Voice has come to an end. Ha 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 ha. It turned out that the show trailer was all true, and I only watched it for half an hour, and I couldn't stop laughing. No, no, no. The trailer doesn't show 1/10 of the content of The Voice. Keep reading, bro. There is a surprise at the end. Awesome. I must declare that The Voice of America is definitely the best music variety show I have ever seen. It incorporates all the fresh elements, where you can find super big-name stars, you can see enough professional and surprising contestants, and this novel way of selecting people. This is the variety show format of the new era. Ha ha ha, I like the four of them so much to gag and joke there. On other shows, on those talk shows, you can only see one person telling jokes at most, but here you can see four people interacting and telling jokes. It's so funny. Brothers, I have a hunch that The Voice will create a trend, and its team rules and contestants' anti-selection rules are really a big innovation, bringing happiness that no other music variety show can give. I don't think you can just focus on the humor element, although I was also amused. Don't you think the level of the contestants is very high? Agreed. I heard that in order to compete with American Idol, The Voice has specially innovated a completely different form of selection, and the show does not go through auditions, but is invited by the producer nationwide, so the contestants can already represent a certain strength if they can be shortlisted. I like Palix, he's really handsome and he sings so well. Bruno Mars is the best. Bruno Mars is too short, but I admit he has a great performance. But he's still too short. Wait, is it only I like the host? James Corden has added a lot to The Voice. It turns out that he can not only act, but also host so well. Do you guess the people from Fox and the American Idol production team have also bought Lionheart.com members? And are they also watching the show? Raise your hand. I'm an employee of the American Idol production team. This show is so awesome. We are doomed. Brother, are you really fake? Did Justin Timberlake's scene cut out? Can you reveal that? If that idiot is still there, I won't watch it. I'm sorry, I can't reveal this. Anyway, you'll know when it airs in the evening. The purpose of our show is to be able to deceive one by one. No, I can't stand it. I want to watch the next episode quickly. +1 for the next episode. +2 for the next episode. +3 for the next episode. Lionheart has opened the video comment function online, which can collect audience evaluations, which is still beneficial to the improvement of the website. Looking at the audience's messages under The Voice, Carol couldn't help but smile. Almost all of them praising the show for doing so well, and the membership money was not spent in vain. Boss, depending on the audience's reaction, even if it's only The Voice, it's enough for them to pay willingly, not to mention that we have other attraction points. Eric nodded, and he was also very satisfied with this, but he was a little unaccustomed to watching the comments. He was used to visiting Abi in his previous life, and he was all watching barrages, except for the resources in the comment area, otherwise he would not turn the video comments in general. He actually thought about whether he could install the barrage function on YouTube and Lionheart.com, but after thinking about it, he gave up, and he couldn't affect the whole because of his little hobby. English is also not a kanji, and sometimes a sentence is quite long, which is not very suitable for barrage. In the future, both websites will go global, and the world is not only in English, which is also a problem. And the barrage culture is still relatively a subculture, and it still hasn't entered the mainstream cultural circle after more than 10 years, let alone now. The most important thing is that many people think that the barrage affects the viewing experience, especially the dense barrage, which blocks the screen. What do I watch? Like the YouTube pipe before the crossing, the official has never provided the barrage function, and you can only use third-party plugins if you want to use it, and the world's first website has not adopted this function for so many years, which naturally makes sense. In 2004, the United States didn't even have movie subtitles, let alone even more fancy barrages. Robert, you make a statistical statistic. I want to know how many people choose to finish the new dramas such as The Voice and House of Cards on the first day of launch, and the completion rate of the first episode will also be counted and then announced to the public. Okay, boss. Robert Miran also watched Eric's interview the other day, and he came up with the concept of watching dramas. As long as the data is good enough, he will definitely use it to slap those guys in the face. They stayed until the evening, when Eric and Carol left in their cars. He has already obtained the data of 10 hours after the Lionheart online launch, and the results are gratifying, and the market's acceptance and tolerance of new things is still very high. In 10 hours, a total of 9 million members were absorbed, and almost 1 million new members were added in 1 hour. Among them, there are about 800,000 white prostitutes, but as long as they experience this novel convenience, most of them will definitely become paying users next month, even if they charge $6.99. Being a low-level member is also an income. The percentage of low-level members has increased to about 2 million, but as long as it does not reach half, it is within the acceptable range. Standard members are still the main force, with 5.2 million people choosing to deposit $9.99. Is it expensive? It's actually the price of 2 hamburgers and a glass of Coke, but it gives you a month of visual and spiritual service. Both Eric and Robert believe that some of this group will be converted into premium members next month to enjoy more privileges. With 1 million premium members, there's nothing to say, just stabilize them. The data of 9 million is absolutely terrifying. You must know that Lionheart is not Facebook and YouTube, it is charged. Paid and free are completely two concepts, and they naturally have thresholds. Carol took a pen and wrote the math in his notebook. Boss, I did the math. Lionheart earned us $80 million in membership fees in 10 hours. Eric nodded. Well, it's a little lower, but it doesn't matter. We are unique in the market. There are no competitors, and my goal is to absorb at least 60% of the households in the United States. It's going to be a long-term process, and it gets harder and harder the way it goes. It may take a year or 2 or more, but if it can be realized, based on one membership for a family of 4, it will be equivalent to at least 42 million members. Carol wrote down the numbers on a piece of paper. Boss, if you use this data, you can earn about $300 million a month. According to the current market situation, it is enough to support 20 or 30 TV series with normal investment quotas being filmed at the same time. However, for a variety show with a high production cost like The Voice, or a high-quality drama like The Walking Dead with an investment of $3 or $4 million, it is obviously not enough. In terms of advertising, I think businesses will carefully consider the proportion of low-level users before they are placed, and if it is still based on the current proportion of about 20%, it will also be greatly affected. As she spoke, she poked the tip of her pen hard, her voice a little distressed. We hope that there are no low-level members, but low-level members can bring more advertising revenue, and these two data are inherently contradictory. Eric smiled. It's okay. The income in this regard, excellent variety shows are enough to earn back. Huh? Boss, you mean by implantation? But I didn't see any implants in The Voice. Not now, but soon a little. What Carol was considering, Eric naturally understood. The production cost of The Voice exceeded $70 million, which is a high standard even 10 years later. Among them, My Buckle still lowered his salary, and Jenny Jackson also lowered his salary for the sake of his brother's face. But even so, The money spent on the four in the first season exceeded $40 million, and this money will definitely rise in the second season. In order to play the cards of Lionheart.com, MGM and May Records made a big splash, and every variety show played like this, which belonged to Looking for Death. For a high-quality variety show like this, for Lionheart in the early stage, it will reach the upper limit if you try to do 2 or 3 a year, and the same is true for high-quality dramas. In Lionheart's plan, most variety shows, such as Walking with Paris Hilton, which is being produced, are very cheap. The cost of the first phase does not exceed $1.5 million, which can usually be controlled between $1 million and $1.2 million, and there are a total of 10 issues in the first quarter, and more than 10 million can be completed. The main reason is that there are no big stars involved, although Paris Hilton is a celebrity, but in the film and television industry, celebrities can't bring high salaries. She hasn't even filmed the most popular Horror Wax Museum yet, so the salary is very low, and if Eric is willing to sacrifice a few shots with her, it is estimated that he can make another bargain. There are also Forging Knife Competition, Living Alone in the Wilderness, Ninja Challenge, Take Me Out, etc., all of which do not need to invite big-name stars to participate. A host can do it, and even Living Alone in the Wilderness even saves the host. These variety shows do not require large investment, but they can bring a super high rate of return because variety shows have a feature that film and television dramas do not have, that is, advertising sponsorship and placement. Standard members and premium members are indeed ad-free, but this ad refers to the pre-movie, movie watching, post-movie, etc., and does not include sponsorship and placement. As long as you don't make it too obvious, let the stars and players implant from food, clothing, and on-site furnishings, such as the disgusting masterpiece Ace vs. Ace by Wu Tong, a well-known stitching master in the industry before The Crossing, then the audience will not care too much about these details. The mobile phone screen suddenly lit up and a text message came, which was from Lu Yifei, asking him if it was inconvenient now. Looking down at the time, it was less than 9 o'clock. Eric couldn't help but wonder, what does it mean to call at this point in time? Is it because I'm worried that I've been stressed too much lately, so I want to dedicate myself to relaxing? The night always makes evil thoughts sprout faster. Shake your head and dial the number, and the second is connected. What's wrong? Crystal? Eric, are you all right? I know you must have been busy lately. Got the news. I will definitely pay attention, as well as my mother and aunt. The two of them also care about you. There was a sneer on the corner of Eric's mouth. Lu Xiaoli cared about herself because she was worried that she would not be able to gain a foothold in Hollywood, and Zhou Wenqiong must be worried that the theater would make waves again. Then thank them for me. What's the matter with you? It's Huaxia. Evil Force has started to do publicity, and I hope I will go back. Then go ahead. This is MGM's first TV series in the mainland. It really needs to open up its popularity. It is your home field, and you are much more famous than the two male protagonists. Lu Yifei chuckled a few times. Okay, it just so happens that my role in The Hunger Games has been completed, and it doesn't hurt to leave for a while. Speaking of which, Eric suddenly understood that this little girl was testing herself and wanted to find out if there was a new play, but I am afraid it was instigated by Lu Xiaoli. Seeing that Eric didn't speak, Lu Yifei continued, By the way, Eric, do you remember the play I talked about some time ago? There is a company in the mainland that wants me to play the heroine. It's the TV series adaptation of that game, right? Yes, your memory is so good. In fact, I have already refused, but the other party has not given up, saying that they can wait for my schedule, and now they invite me again. What do you say? Do I want to take it? Will it affect the development of Hollywood? The legend of Sword and Fairy, the white moonlight of countless people's childhood, really established Lu Yifei's status as a drama. If she only starred in The Family of Gold Powder, The Condor Heroes, and Dragon Babu, the blood bar would definitely not be exaggerated. Her mid to late stage development can be described as a disaster. Countless TV series and movies hit the streets, and her acting skills have not improved much for more than 10 years. But she can still sit on countless die-hard fans, relying on the legend of Sword and Fairy. After the outbreak of the Chinese market in a few years, MGM will definitely have a big cake, and Louis Fei will be a trump card in his hands at that time. Now, the more popularity she accumulates, the more beneficial it will be to the future development of the company and the individual. So, since Tang Ren is so sincere, it is also a good choice to take the shot. What do you think about it, Crystal? I'd like to hear your thoughts. My thoughts? I don't have any ideas. My mother used to choose for filming, and she asked me to ask your opinion. What conditions did that company give? The conditions are not bad, especially after I came to Hollywood to develop. The Tang people have improved their treatment a lot. This drama was originally a double heroine, but they promised to add drama to me. In short, I am the absolute heroine. What about time? How long is it expected to shoot? For a month and a half, I will be given priority to shoot my scenes. Then take it. It is conducive to consolidating your popularity in Huaxia and preparing for the future. Okay, you say I'll pick it up, I'll listen to you. Hanging up the phone, Eric suddenly laughed. Under the butterfly effect, I don't know how much Lin Yueru's role can be left. Maybe like Anu, share the second female lead. Carol peeked through the rearview mirror, and she rarely saw Eric speak so softly. Humph. Which little bitch it must be. Scolding, Carol couldn't help but look down at her big boobs, which were still so beautiful, but Eric had been staring at them less recently. Am I dressing too conservatively? It just so happens that the weather is getting warmer, and there is a reason to let go. Beverly Hills, Cooper's house. The little nanny, Lisa, brought Eric a glass of warm milk. She was also following the recent news, knowing that something had happened to MGM, and Eric had not come home for the past few days. Although he used to not come home at night or came back very late, it was the first time that he had been so frequent as recently. He must have worked overtime until late at night every night, and then he could only rest in the company. Such a poor man. I really want to hold him in my arms to comfort and comfort. Watching Eric eat his food quickly, Lisa understood that it was because he had a preoccupation in his heart, and even the most delicious things tasted like chewing wax. After breakfast, Eric moved his back and let out a sigh. These days are a bit stressful, and in order to relax his spirit, he can only sleep a few more women a day to relieve it. There is no way. I am a simple and pure person. My life is boring and single, and I can only choose these few hobbies. It's so sad to think about it. However, even with the nourishment of supplements, my body was a little overwhelmed for a few days, and I could only go home to rest last night. It's good to be young, and the feeling of waking up tired is swept away, and I only feel that I can fight for 300 rounds again. When I came to the company, although it was a Sunday, there were still some people who insisted on going to work during the special period. From the moment he entered the door, he felt the change in the atmosphere. Everyone's faces were full of smiles as before, and the tension that had lasted for half a month was swept away. As Eric said, what the company needs most now is a win. The popularity of Lionheart is like a heart booster, injecting new vitality and confidence into MGM. For more than a year, Eric has led them back to prominence, and now everyone is even more convinced that there can be nothing wrong with following in his footsteps. Arriving at the office, Carol had already made her coffee. She didn't wear professional clothes today, but changed into a hip-hugging bodysuit, and her hair was not coiled as usual, but was a little messy on her shoulders, and there was an extra pair of black glasses on the bridge of her nose. I don't know how to design this dress, but the lower buttocks are slit, but the top is split, and a pair of big boobs are very prominent. Seeing Carol's dress, Eric was stunned for a moment. Although there are not many people on weekends, but this is a company, are you sure you are dressed appropriately? But thinking like this, he still couldn't help but stay on the other party for a few seconds. It's so rich and generous, and it's so eye-catching. Sighing, Eric said, Carol, you're smiling so well. Did you encounter anything good? Yes, boss, a good thing, an absolutely great thing. Look at the news. American Idol was scolded miserably. Carol took 2 steps forward and approached to answer, and the mature woman's breath instantly came to her face. Oh no, she wants to dribble the ball. Should I steal? Bastard! You sober up. Pushing the lustful thought out of his head, Eric turned on the computer. What's going on? Boss, do you remember the American Idol promo? Well, that's a bit impressive. There was no Justin Timberlake in the promo, and the audience thought Fox cut him, but after the show aired last night, everyone found out that it was all fake. Justin Timberlake is not only sitting on the judge's bench, but he is also the one with the most scenes. He talks a lot, and there is a lot of interaction. The audience is angry, they feel cheated, and now they are scolding Fox and the program team. Saying that, Carol laughed, and the big jumped up and down with laughter, which was very dishonest, and they urgently needed a pair of strong hands to educate them to understand the rules. The computer goes to the home page, and Eric just wants to click on Yahoo. Carol shook her head, reached out to take Eric's hand, and moved the mouse somewhere else. Boss, it's not this. The main battlefield is on Fox's official website. Eric frowned slightly. This action was obviously beyond the duties of the secretary. This girl's motives were not pure. But before he could say anything, Carol had already taken his hand away as if nothing had happened, and smiled apologetically. The skin on my hands is a little rough, and since Ron died, I have had to do it all by myself, and that's really not a woman's job. Eric's attention returned to Fox's official website, found the comments section, and immediately laughed. Bad reviews, scolding mothers, complaining. Almost all the abuse. Looking down, there are hundreds of pages. He clicked directly on the last page, which was a previous message, not a curse. I flipped forward until I reached more than 50 pages and finally saw the first bad comment. American Idol still retains Justin's scum. Bad reviews. Goodbye. Looked at the time. It was left at 8:10 last night, which means that it was only 10 minutes after the show started, and the complaining had already begun. The garbage show is matched with the garbage man, and Fox loses favorites. Everyone must not watch American Idol. Pure fraud. They didn't delete Justin Timberlake's scene at all. I declare that after Sharknado, the biggest TV scam of the millennium was born. The difference is that Sharknado can bring us joy, and American Idol can only bring us disgust. What the hell is the program team doing? Why is there still that guy Justin? Is he Murdoch's ancestor? To be fair and objective, American Idol generally continues the style and standard of the first season. Simon is still interesting, Randy Jackson and Emmy Emu are also decent, but Justin Timberlake is definitely the biggest failure, so let's end it. Early warning, there are scum infested. This stupid show is wasting my time. I'm going to go to Rotten Tomatoes and IMDb to brush up on bad reviews. I not only have to give American Idol a bad review, but also a good review of The Voice of America, and after finishing half a season of The Voice during the day, the contrast is simply too strong. I agree with the upstairs. Watch The Voice, and then watch American Idol. I dare to say that, even if the latter plays perfectly, it is definitely not the opponent of the former, and the variety show format of The Voice has left American Idol far behind. The Voice is so good. I love Bruno Mars. He's not handsome. Viewed it's so charming to sing. Katy Perry is the real god. It's hard to imagine that a young girl who has just become an adult can sing so strongly, and that kind of explosiveness is stronger than many well-known singers, at least much stronger than Randy Jackson and Amy Eminem. Shileen's performance is as superb. White people play rap. I seem to see another ruffian Eminem. May Records simply signed him and asked him to beat Amy Eminem. Is it only I like Taylor Swift? Although this little girl's singing skills can't compare to Katy Perry, I just like her. I like Taylor too. Let's get the word out. Taylor has opened a Facebook account. Hurry up and follow it. Hahaha, the big six still want to encircle and suppress MGM. This is the means they came up with? It's almost like laughing off people's big teeth. Eric Cooper is awesome. Starting on page 55, at least 10,000 people have left messages on Fox's website. Is either to give a bad review or to praise The Voice. Listening to people praising your opponents on your own turf, I am afraid that there is nothing more painful in the world than this. Carol's eyes were about to bend into crescent moons. Boss, you see that the last message shows that the time is 9:12 in the evening, which means that in just 1 hour, American Idol has been scolded by at least tens of thousands of people. And Fox was still deleting posts at the beginning, but then there were so many people who scolded them that they couldn't delete them, and in the end they had to close the comments, which made people laugh to death. Now, not only on Fox's official website, but also in many forums and chat rooms, the fraud of American Idol has aroused public anger. Eric opened Rotten Tomatoes again, and the freshness was only 46%. You must know that this represents the taste of the public, and only by reaching 75% freshness can it prove that a work is recognized by the public. And the freshness of the first season of American Idol is 96%, a difference of 50%, and this is the first day. With the increase in the number of ratings, it is conceivable that there is still a lot of room for decline. Looking at the score of The Voice again, it has reached a terrifying 99%, and some of them must have scored high scores because they deliberately disgusted American Idol, but it also proves that The Voice is excellent. Then there is IMDb, another score that makes people laugh out of the pig. American Idol only got a score of 3.1, which also has a lot of room for decline. On the other hand, The Voice got a super high score of 9.7, even though the score of variety shows has always been more tolerant than that of movies. This score still shocked many people's jaws. With a long sigh of relief, Eric sneered, I originally thought that American Idol could at least struggle a little. It seems that I overestimated Fox. Pick up your phone and dial the phone of Maiku. My buckle, what are you doing? Got the news on it? The laughter of children sounded from the opposite side, and Eric knew it was from Paris as soon as he heard it. Since winning the lawsuit, although he still lives in Fantasy Manor, he has experienced 2 backstabs, and Maiku finally decided not to open it to the outside world at will. Now the people who go to Fantasy Manor to play are usually his friends, and strange children must be investigated in advance before being released, so as not to cause further trouble. Although it is a bit regrettable, the premise of doing charity is to protect your own safety, and no one will have an opinion on this. Uncle Cooper, when are you coming to my house to play? A milky, childish voice said. Paris? Cutie, do you miss me? Yes, it's the weekend. I don't have to go to school. Come and play with me. Bring Sister Elizabeth with you. I'm afraid it's not convenient today. Elizabeth has a busy job. But it's been a long time since you've been here. The tone of Paris was somewhat disappointed. I'll bring a few more friends to accompany you next week. How do you feel about that? Okay, then let's say okay. Don't change. Okay, don't change. Where's your dad? He's in the kitchen. Daddy, broken. It's Uncle Cooper's phone. Soon. The voice of my button came from the phone. Eric, I'm sorry, I'm working on the recipe I brought back from Huaxiao last time. What's wrong? American Idol is over, you know? Ha 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 ha. Of course, I was watching the news last night, and Fox simply made a ridiculously wrong decision. Rather than continue to broadcast it head-on, it is better to hide the season. At least the word of mouth will not collapse to this point. Fox would have liked, but alas, it couldn't. If this is really done, what should advertisers do? How do the contestants explain? It's going to cost a lot of money. What's more, the 6 of them joined forces to snipe MGM and retreated in the first battle. What do their teammates think? What do outsiders think? Fox is difficult to ride a tiger, stuck in the middle and uncomfortable. If you don't do it, you have to do it, but this scam is too low level. So, what do you think Fox will do next? Admit your mistake? This can save some people's hearts. Admit mistakes? When pigs fly, Eric said mockingly. Maiko, do you think that Murdoch's old Wangba's character will admit his mistakes? He is a media tycoon who turns his hands into clouds and rains and plays with the public. Making him admit his mistakes is like asking Clinton not to steal food and Hawking to stand up, not to mention a variety show. You're right, it seems that American Idol is probably going to die. I think it's a violent death halfway through. Ha 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 ha. Eric, you're afraid you can't imagine how popular The Voice is. In just one night, Bruno Mars's Facebook account has already gained hundreds of thousands of followers, and he is almost fainting with happiness. There are still many people who ask for the full version to be released like a film and television drama, and everyone wants to watch the follow-up quickly. Besides, the thing you said really came. Did the advertiser contact the company? Eric's eyes lit up, and he specifically called for it. Yes, now there is the finals of The Voice, and this one is going to be in the form of live broadcasts. And someone asked a friend to contact me this morning, hoping to place advertisements in the finals. What do you say? I didn't say yes. Of course not. Now we are in a hurry, and when the semifinals are broadcast, the price will definitely soar. That's right. Hang those businessmen. The advertisements for the finals must slaughter them and earn back all the money that was missed before. The price of advertising in the United States is the highest in the Super Bowl, and the average price of a 30-second ad in the Super Bowl this year is $2.3 million, and this kind of ad generally sells about 50 sticks. In other words, just with advertising revenue, a Super Bowl can reach a terrifying more than 100 million. In terms of TV series, NBC's Friends is the final season this year, and the advertising price of the last episode has been announced by the TV station, and the average price is expected to reach $2 million if it is less than $1.8 million. The viewership of the final episode of Friends is expected to be around 35 million, and the Super Bowl is even more exaggerated, with almost 80 million people watching, and there is a reason why it is expensive. The Voice is still a month and a half away from the finals, and it depends on how many viewers it can accumulate. There is no need to surpass Friends, because the advertisements of cable stations are naturally higher than those of public stations. Who makes the public station belong to free white prostitution? The number of viewers is large, but the number of people who are willing to pay and spend money is not necessarily really much, and the cable station has to spend money to watch, and businessmen value this more.